The others will join, I guess, also in a bit. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's meetup. My name is Dalia, and I'm from Elastic's community team. Today, we're here to hear from Felix, who is one of our solution architects, and he will talk to us about Kibana and the hidden features. We will take all the questions in the end. And yeah, so Felix, please take it from here.
Yeah, thank you, Daja. So also welcome from my side. Again, I'm Senior Solutions Architect at Elastic, working for Elastic for more than 2.5 years now. And well, in my daily work as a solution architect, I often have to, talk to customers and users like you. And well, there are often the same questions I got about how to use our products and especially how to use Kibana, whether there are things like this and things like that possible, and if yes, how. And some of the things happen so often that I started to collect those things that the people always, that the users always asking about. But for some reasons not finding in our products. And the result of this is this presentation here. So it is, let's say, a mix of different use cases, different features in Kibana, different things we want to do. They have all in common that they really help you to, well, expertise your knowledge about Kibana. Some of them are not that useful but funny, and other are more than useful and maybe also helping you in your daily life working with Kibana. From the let's say knowledge level, I expect I thought about that you have already basic knowledge about Kibana, so I will not talk about the basic stuff. I will talk about the features within the apps and also about the real deep features. So when you think, okay, I'm at the beginning of working with Kibana, it is a good session for you, but you may not understand everything. So feel free to ask questions. I can answer the questions at the end. And also, if you have special questions about how to do things with Kibana, feel free to add it in the chat. I will take over the chat managed messages and answer every question at the end of the presentation. Okay, and with that, let's start. So you see already the first screen of the presentation, and there is a big QR code here, which hopefully a few people or a few attendees of you have scanned with your mobile phones. The idea is just to collect a little bit of data. Because the first thing we need to do in Kibana is to have data in Elasticsearch, otherwise it does not work. So let's see whether someone has used this. Okay, looks good. So we have someone from Bolzano who was the last last user who have scanned the QR code. We have a lot of hits here. So a hit is again the call of one of the pages, and this page loading several different files. So that's why we have a lot of hits. So we don't have 3,000 attendees here in this meetup, of course. Yeah, but this is just to show you a little bit, okay, what we are able to do. So we are really working with live data, and we can also visualize those things on the maps. Oh, cool. There were a lot more people accessing the meetup than at the beginning. So we have people from France, we have people from Italy, we have people from United Kingdom, from Norway, and from Spain here in this meetup. Really cool. This only works in a virtual meetup. So I think in a meetup where everyone can see each other, this would be not that cool. But in a virtual meetup, this looks really cool. So thank you for sharing your data. We will get into this in a second. But first of all, I want to show you that I'm already in Kibana, as you may have seen. So we're already in Kibana, and especially here into Canvas. So Canvas is one of my most favorite tools in Kibana because it's really about visualizing data in an exceptional way. And I really like to work with it. And I want to show you a couple of things that you can do with Canvas over the presentation. So I will start with Canvas, and I will also end up with Canvas and showing you a lot of different things that are possible. One of the things that some people do not know, we see here, so that we can integrate many of the other Kibana objects also into Canvas. So we can embed visualizations you made on your dashboards. We can embed maps. We can embed many different things, also Vega visualization. So you can embed a lot of things, which really helps you to accelerate the work with Canvas. And one of the nice things in Canvas is that you can create reports out of Canvas in a PDF format and do this scheduled regularly via using the alerting framework and sending emails to your manager, for example. So whenever you have the need to export data out of Elasticsearch in a graphical way, maybe regularly to your manager, Canvas would be the right tool to do so. And to get Canvas to a point that you can really visualize a lot of data, you have to build a page like this. So this is one of the example pages we have. I just pimped it a little bit to make it able to work with this meetup data here. But what I really want to show you is that you are able to not only use a standard query language of Elastic to insert data here. There is also one of the most prominent ways of using of getting data into Canvas is using Elasticsearch Sql. So let's imagine you don't have that big knowledge about how to query Elasticsearch with query DSL, but you have a lot of knowledge about SQL. In Canvas, you can use this knowledge and build your visualizations. So having a look into this, so the data, so each element has a separate data source, so you can add another SQL to every element. Of course, you can also use the query DSL and other ways, but I think the SQL is the most interesting stuff here. And another very interesting thing that you can do with Canvas is use the expression editor. This is one of the things, well, it's not 100% hidden, but it's underestimated, I think, because here you can really go deep into what you want to do or what you want to visualize, and also can add conditionals, variables, URL parameters to this Canvas page, and really interact with this Canvas. This helps, for example, if you would like to share this Canvas in your own application, in your own web application, want to share it with your users, and every user has a different context. You can add those contexts, with by adding URL parameters, and then you have, for example, the possibility to use this URL parameters directly within Kibana by just using this URL param field here in the Canvas expression editor. And this is really helpful, again, to customize or to filter down your dashboards to the needs that you may have if you want to use Canvas in wherever you want to need, on a wallboard or in your own web application or something like this. A lot of cool things are possible, and also, of course, you can add conditionals. So next to URL param, you can also use if statements, and you can compare to every result of your Elasticsearch indices or your Elasticsearch queries, and do whatever you want to do in this Canvas board to show what is necessary. But I will show you some pretty cool examples at the end of the presentation. So stay tuned. We will come back to pretty cool Canvas stuff at the end of the presentation. But first of all, thank you that you supported this talk by joining today from all over Europe, which is pretty awesome. Let's see whether we also have people from outside Europe. No, it's only Europe. But pretty cool that you joined. Thank you. Okay, so let's now move to the map itself. So we can directly go into the map feature here. I want to show you a few things more over there that I will show you today. I now have the time frame from all over a year. Well, let's do it like this. Now we can see I made this talk well, many times already, and you see I had people joining from all over the world, and pretty awesome to see this directly in the map just by clicking on one of the of this link I have gave you already. But what I wanted to show you is one of the things that many people think it's not possible, especially in maps. So every of this element is not only clickable to filter the maps, you can also add links and filter down or drill down into other dashboards. So for example, I can just click on one of these icons, and then I added to the field source IP the possibility to switch over to the logs of the specific person who has accessed the this presentation here. In this case, it's me, it's myself. So I'm here in this part of Germany, and now I can jump out of the maps, getting the context of the specific person, and jump into the logs application, filter down all the logs to my specific IP address I have used a couple of days ago. So this is now my public IP address here. Don't use it for bad things, please. And so I can get all the information filtered down already in the logs app. So one of the things that Kibana is pretty useful for is taking filters from other applications, taking values from other applications, and moving into, for example, logs application or the metrics application to show this data in this specific context. And this really helps. It was also possible to jump into APM and show one of the APM traces from the specific IP address to see what has happened. What else you can do in maps? Of course, a few of the obvious things. So you can add multiple layers, which really helps to visualize the data in different ways. But one of the things that I also really like is to use this visibility feature here with different zoom levels. If you do so, you're, for example, able to define a very high level view if you are if you zoomed very far away from the map, and you can go more into the details of the data if you zoom more into the map, and this will automatically transform your data by the zoom level you are choosing based on this visibility feature, which is pretty helpful. For example, if you want to aggregate your data globally, and if you come down to a specific region, it will be filtered down, and this specific data will be shown up if it is necessary. Another thing many people say, which is not possible in Kibana, especially in the older versions, is that they said, well, you're not able to do joins in Kibana. That's not true. So in maps, you are able to do joins. Now it's really, let's say, visible here. So it's easy to see now in maps that you can do so. But even in our days, not many people know that joins are possible. So you can do joins in Kibana, for example, by using the maps feature here and join two other data sources or two different indices. It's always important, of course, like in a relational database, that you have one common ID that is present in both data sets, but this is one of the things which is really useful. So you can make joins. Okay, I don't want to explain everything here in maps, so there are a lot of other things possible. If you never worked with maps before, do it. It's really helpful to get a high-level overview about geographical data, and whenever you have an IP address, you already have geographical data. So really, really helpful. Okay, so let's do another thing. So one of the problems many people are facing is that they want to get data in just to quickly throw data in and analyzing it, and without the need of building ingest pipelines and all the different things to get data in. There is one easy way to do so, and I would like to show you. It's at the moment it's pretty prominent, but I'm never when I talk to customers, they never see this. So that's what I want to show you. So there is an easy way to import data directly from a file. And we would like to import Airbnb data now, which comes from officially from Airbnb. And if we look into what Airbnb is offering here, this CSV file that you got looks like this. So it's really hard to read what is in here. So there are a lot of different fields, and especially the descriptions of the different listings here are pretty long. So it's really hard to get into this CSV file if you only got into a file editor and read this. Same holds for log files. So it's often really hard to get the structure directly if you just look in the text editor. And now let's upload this file into the data visualizer, and let's have a look what we can see there. So this is this file, listings for, and let's open it. And what we now get is an overview about the content of this file. So we can immediately see what is in that file and what are the values in this file. So if we see the different fields here, so there is an ID field, a URL field, there is a summary field. We have, for example, we can see the different host names and how often several host names are available in the first thousands documents. So we can quickly see what is in that file. And another very important thing here is you can directly import that file. So you can use import, and everything is done for you. Elastic is doing, or the Kibana is guessing the right mapping for that file. It's creating an ingest pipeline for that file. Of course, you can edit this here before, but you don't need to. So the simple mode is just setting up everything and then you are done. And by the way, it's also setting up the ingest pipeline. So if you have a CSV file that is created regularly, you can reuse this ingest pipeline later on by using Filebeat and reloading CSV and sending it through this ingest pipeline, and everything is done for you. So really helpful tool to get quickly into data if it is stored in JSON, in CSV files, or in if the log file is in a common format that can be detected in any way. It also tries to auto-croc a custom log file, by the way. Well, it's only a beginning. So auto-croc is pretty hard because of the different log file formats, but it tries to do also auto-croc and setting up the right pipeline for you. Another way to get data in, and this is now a pretty new feature that we released on Wednesday, is to use the Ingest Manager. So now on the left-hand side, we have the Ingest Manager here under Management. And if you use this, you can directly ingest your data from your source systems by using Kibana without touching the system when you enroll an agent first. So the only thing you need to do is enrolling an agent. So it's pretty easy. It's just executing one of these commands depending on your host system. And if you do so, then you have an agent here available. And using this agent, you can set up one of these integrations. So an integration is, so to say, a data source that you would like to add. For example, Apache data from a web server. You just click on this. You get some information about what is in this package. Then you can add this data to your cluster, and you can define which group of agent you would like to use to collect those data sources. For example, you can, I have one of my Linux machines here. I can click on this. It's this integration. I can tell it where my Apache logs are and whether I would also like to collect metrics from Apache. Then I click Save Integration. It will send this to the agent. For all of you who heard of Elastic already, what it does now is setting up the beats, so the corresponding beat modules in the background. So it will now set up Filebeat in the background, enabling the Apache module and configuring the module to send the data over to Kibana. But everything is done via the UI in Kibana, which is pretty useful if you would like to get started. Okay, so now that we have data in, we need to manage the data. And one of the concepts that many people, many users do not 100% understand is the concept of index patterns. So let's have a look into the index patterns. So I will go into stack management now, and under Kibana we have index pattern. In our days, so in version 7.9 and before, the concept of, or the need of index pattern is more or less hidden to the user. So when you started with 7.5 or 7.6 or maybe a little earlier, you probably do not know that there exists an index pattern. But index patterns are pretty useful because they are combining different indices in Elasticsearch, and they also tell Kibana how to act, how to interact with the data, how to visualize those data. And one of the examples I would like to show you is in this meetup data here. So I made a little index with only one document and created those index pattern. And what I can do now, I can tell the system how to interact with the data. So let's have a look what I've ingested. So I did this via DevTools. I just ingested one document into this file, into this index meetup, and this is containing an image with an URL, an audio file with an URL, and a couple of metadata. And the index pattern here now tells Kibana how to work with this data. And for example, we have now this audio file here, which is configured as a URL. So the default is always default, but you can define how Kibana will show the data. So whether it is a Boolean value color, a lookup value, so you can also do lookups, a string, truncated string, or you can use URL. And for me especially, I really like this URL feature of index pattern because you can do many different things using this. Drilling down to other applications, to external applications. You can, like in this way here, you can really make URLs clickable and interactable. So in this case, I ingested again an audio URL, and I defined this as an audio, and I tell the system that the URL template I want to use is the value of the field itself, and it should be a play button. And of course, this also works for links and for images. So there are other ways to integrate those data. If you have a link which is available from Kibana, then you can make it interactive by using index patterns. And this is one of the most features that nobody is seeing, but which is really helpful to make Kibana great. A great feature, a great tool to interact with data. Now let's have a look how it looks in Discover, for example. So we will now search for this meetup data, and we will see it is rendering now the image, and it is also able to play music. So I can now play this song. Yeah, I'm not sure whether you have heard it. I forgot to activate audio via Zoom, but it is able to play the music file now within Kibana. So imagine what you can do. You can do a audio search engine within Kibana and being able to play previews and the real song without the need of storing the data in Kibana itself or in Elasticsearch itself, but you are able to play those things directly within Kibana, which really makes it a useful thing. Yeah, just to show what is possible. So again, a little bit of fun and a little bit of serious things. So you can do those things. Another thing I would like to show you is also pretty important. So we stay in Discover now, and we can, for example, use the FileBeat data. So this is the index where all your data that from all of you who have scanned the QR code, all this data is in this FileBeat index. So you see there was a lot of traffic made here today, and so we can do a little search. So let's search for everything, for everyone who is using, oh, here's someone from Vodafone. Well, by the way, the link that is working in Maps is also working here. You see this? So it's also made via the index pattern, and now it's also showing in Maps, and it's showing in the dashboards, it's showing in Discover. So wherever you show this field, the result of the index pattern mapping is visible. Okay, so not sure who this is here, but I will just create some filters. So hopefully that's fine for you. So this is the one who came from Bolzano. Yeah, what else? Let's filter to Europe and do a few other things. So we filtered down a little bit, and now we can pin those filters. This is useful if you would like to search first and then go into another dashboard and work with the same filters. But this is nice, but it's pretty more useful to use these saved queries. So it's not sure whether this is already known at the moment. It was pretty new in 7.6. Now we are at 7.9. So maybe you know this already, but it's pretty awesome to be able to save queries and filters. So I can do this now. Filter Androids from Europe. I can include time filter. I don't want to do this. Include filter, add some description. Now I'm done. And this concept of saved queries is now reusable in every part of Kibana. So it doesn't matter whether you would like to create a transform or whether you would like to filter a dashboard, filter a map. So you always have this little storage icon here. And whenever you see the storage icon, you can click on this and open your filter and work with this. Okay, next thing is also something of index patterns. So I also often hear that that we are not able to combine different indices in one single index pattern. So when a user knows the concept of index pattern, they believe that it always have to look like this. So one single pattern with one single wildcard and nothing more is possible. There is more possible. First of all, via Elasticsearch index aliases. This is one of the things you can do. But let's say you are not allowed to do this or you don't want to do this. You can also use Kibana to add multiple different named indices. So what we usually suggest is using something like a naming convention. So something like this, where you have Airbnb data as a global naming convention at the beginning, and then you drill down into general data, listings, reviews, alerts, and things like this. And if you do Airbnb star, you are done. So this is something which is possible, but you have to take care of your indices and that the naming is right. And if you start it another way, then it's already a problem. What you also can do is, for example, just adding a comma at the end, and then you can also add FileBeat, for example. And then you have combined both different indices or types of indices in one single index pattern. it could be a little problematic because of the density of fields that you have. So Filebeat and Airbnb next to each other will create many different fields in the index pattern. But well, usually this doesn't matter in Kibana, everything works. So this is a good way to combine different indices directly in Kibana. So there's no complaint about this. And if you have a common ID across those indices, you can easily filter down in Discover by both of these indices at the same level. Okay. Yeah, this is also a useful thing to work with different data sources that are again combined by similar IDs. You probably know the concept of Elastic Common Schema. So Elastic Common Schema teaches you the ability to put the same semantical thing into the same field name, so that you are always able to filter those both different indices with the same name of the filter, and being able to have dashboards that integrates multiple different data sources and multiple different indices. But this is one of the ways you can also combine completely different data sources. Yeah, so I think we already have seen a lot of goodness here. So now let's jump into another space. So this is just my intro space. Let's have a look into the Airbnb data again. So I prepared the uploading. I uploaded all the Airbnb data via data visualizer, so I didn't use any other possibility to do so. Everything's uploaded via data visualizer, and now we can have a look into what we are able to see. So I integrated the map here. Yeah, okay, this doesn't work in some 9. One closer. So I integrated all the Airbnb data here. By the way, the Airbnb data also contains a lot of URLs. So for example, this is the link to the Airbnb data itself. Now this is a link to the Airbnb data itself. So I can directly jump to another application, to an external URL, or I can also show the images here of the guys, or the image of the flat itself. So I can really ingest everything and show it in the maps itself in the tooltip, which is already really useful. And of course, I can also take the data and bring it here into the dashboard. I don't want to show too much of the details here. If you're interested in what you can do with Airbnb data and how to detect frauds, or how to detect fraudsters in the data, you can have a look into my last meetup talk from June. It's already uploaded to YouTube. It's how to detect frauds in your data. This is pretty. So there in this talk I show how to use this data to detect people that are acting anonymous in comparison to the others, and therefore I prepared this dashboard. But what I wanted to show you is a new capability we added in 7.8. We are now able to add drill downs. In 7.9 we added explore underlying data. So this is sending you into Discover by showing you the data below. And therefore I will go to another dashboard. You are also able to add a drill down. But let me start by showing you how easy it is to add data by using Vega. So Vega is not that new anymore, and also not that hidden anymore. So it's not a 100% fit for this talk. But also often hear the complaint that it would be hard to build a dashboard in Kibana in comparison to Grafana and other things. I'm not able to understand this, so that's why I show you how easy I think it is. So I have my, my Airbnb index here with a lot of available fields. And let's say I would like to know the, well, let's say price. So I have a field called price. I'm adding this. Now I see the average price across all the different listings. Not really useful already. So let's add something else. So let's say I would like to know the average price per neighborhood. So per neighborhood in Berlin, which is in German, it's Bezirke for everyone who can, who understands German. So neighborhood. I just dropped the fields into this visualization, and I immediately see what we're able to do. Okay, now it decides to adding a timestamp and showing us the data via timestamp. I would like to use this as the x-axis. So I just move the data or move the field I want to investigate into the desired axis, and everything is done. So I now can see, for example, in Potsdamer Platz, we have an average price of $108 per night per flat. So and I can investigate more into this. And let's say I would like more data. So maybe also well, which host this is coming from. So I can use the host ID, breaking it down by host ID, and then I also got which host ID is most expensive, for example. So just by dropping the data in, I can also use a pie chart for this, just by switching here the different things. Of course, you can also switch different available visualizations here directly in Backup. Now let's add this to the dashboard, the pie chart. The thing I would like to show you is the drill down. So you have the possibility by clicking on this little icon here to do a lot of cool things. So one of this is you can customize the time range. I think this icon is so small that I would call it a hidden feature. So you can customize the time range of this specific visualization here. For example, if you would like to compare this week with the last week, or if you just would like to have a fixed timestamp, a fixed time frame for a specific visualization, you can do this here by customizing the time range. And you can also use this to create a drill down. And this is one of the pretty cool things. So let's say analyze it and then choose a custom dashboard. For example, my Airbnb dashboard, I will take all my filters with me and also the date range, creating the drill down. Now I have to save the dashboard and reload it. Wait a second. And now I can click on one of these elements. So for example, this one. And it asked me whether I would like to apply a filter to the current view, which was the behavior all the time before in Kibana. And now I added another behavior to it. So I would like to be able to analyze this specific host ID. So I jump to this, and now it's taking over the filters. So I removed the neighborhood because this is different in this index here. And now I have the host ID, which is shared between many different indices, and I can see, okay, this is my host Jan, and I get also other information if I have the host ID in every single index. So it's always important if you create dashboards that you use the same indices with the same data and the same naming convention for all the different visualizations. Because if you do it not like this, then it happens like me here, that it can find, for example, the review sentiment, because the review the review index does not know the host ID. So there is another shared value between those both between these both indices. Okay. What else I would like to show? Yeah, so we have a couple of time left. So I would like to show you another kind of dashboard that is using drill downs in another way, which is this dashboard. This dashboard is part of my IBM MQ demo, and I ingested a lot of data here and made it available to drill down. So I'm starting with a real high-level view of the data, so really aggregating everything together in one single traffic light. And if the traffic light is red, I can analyze the specific behavior, jumping into another dashboard which is showing me the contents of this, showing me the reason why this specific traffic light was red. And I did this here by adding other traffic lights that show me metrics in a real graphical way and show me whether this is a problem or not. And combining everything at the top level of a dashboard is really cool. And then by scrolling down, I always add a more detailed view now, so that I can also get insights of the specific data. So in this case, I have, for example, added also the machine learning data. By the way, in the current version of Elastic, it is also possible to create or to add the machine learning data directly. Second, my browser hangs a little bit. Yeah. So you can now add machine learning stuff directly. One second. So, for example, I have the ML job, and I can add this directly from here. So just by, for example, anomalies over time, and then I added the heat map of the specific ML job by adding another visualization to this view here. So whenever you have used machine learning before 7.8, you had to do it something like this. So using the index pattern, link into the machine learning job and getting the data out of the system index. Now you are able to directly integrate those ML results into the dashboard, and you can make it clickable to select for different things. So it's a much nicer workflow now for integrating machine learning stuff into your data. Yeah, so I think there's nothing more new that I can show you here. But I promised you to, I have 3 minutes. So there is another thing I would like to show you, which is the detection engine in security. So if you're not familiar with security use cases, there is a detection engine. It sounds like this is only possible, or this is only useful for security use cases, but it's not. It's it's more like an more sophisticated alerting framework that you can use to also get alerted on other things like security incidents. Where we have this integrated alerting framework since 7.7, the Kibana alerting, but we also have the ability of creating detections here. And these detections are useful because you can add much more context to to a desired alert, and also how to fix a specific alert if there is something happening. So you can add a custom query, search for something, or use one of the saved queries here to search for this, to search for a specific log file or to search for a specific behavior, and then get notified about this. You can add a machine learning job to this rule engine here, and also a threshold type of alert. The special thing here is that you can, let's add a filter first, is that one. Index is that one, safe, and now I can continue. The cool thing about the detection engine is that you can add context to the results. So for example, you can give it a description, you can give it a severity, you can give it a risk score. Everything of this is really important for security use cases, but I think it's also important for observability, so for monitoring use cases, so that you are able to add a risk and add a severity for specific things you find within observability. And there is no reason why you can't use your Filebeat data or anything else to that. Of course, there is also some specials, so you can do a severity override. So let's say you have a severity in your log files directly. You can add this severity also to this, so to override the severity of this specific alert. Pretty awesome that you can do so. You can add URLs to your own wiki that tells how to fix a specific problem. You can also reference URLs for restarting a specific service or for blocking a specific IP. So you can really do heavy things here, also in terms of observability. And many of the observability users never look into the security feature, so that's why I think it's a hidden feature for them. It's not a hidden feature, of course, if you're already familiar with the security use case and you know all this. But you may not know that you can also use this for observability use cases. Yeah, okay. I think this is what I can show you here. And last but not least, I promised you to show another canvas. I made a canvas for observing factories. And so I call it the industrial IoT use case within Canvas, and this is another pretty amazing thing that you can do with Canvas. So I ingested a bit of MQTT data here. The MQTT beat, or the MQTT Filebeat input, was released in 7.7, so you're now able to also access sensor data within Kibana, and then you can use this sensor data, for example, in your Canvas boards. So let's have a look into this. So for example, we have we can use this to really aggregate sensor data into well, monitoring results of full factories and getting a full global view about those assembly plants. Every color here is made by using the if statements in the expression editor, so I can really use the values, compare values, and decide which color I want to have to show whether there is a problem or not. Then I can add buttons, buttons like this one here to get into the details. So I click on this, I get into the into a next view where I can get a more detailed view now about the shop floor itself. And it shows me that there is a problem here, so I can click on this. It shows me the assembly plant. I can click on this, and now I see, okay, there was an error detected for this specific pump. And what I can do now is also interacting with this dashboard and starting processes at the let's say hardware I would like to access. So it doesn't matter whether this is a Linux server or whether this is a pump like this. So whenever you have access via a web API to do something, you can start it. And if you don't have a web API for this specific device you would like to access, you can also use Logstash to execute a script on the Logstash server, which then have access to a specific device and do something there. So there are a lot of ways to automate specific things. And Logstash, by the way, can also create a web service for you so that you can start it from within Canvas, starting Logstash to execute a script, and then something happens. So all those things are possible. I will now, I have to do the refreshing. So refreshing every 5 seconds. And now I can go into full screen mode and start the cleaning process. And we will see in a couple of seconds that it now collects data, and restarting the pump again, and then the error will get hidden, hopefully. Yeah. So everything worked. So I don't see any error anymore. I have my data again, and this pump is up and running again, and everything is fine for me. And that's the way how you can use Canvas to also interact with devices in a graphical way. For example, if you have a service organization, a support organization that needs to restart servers when there is an error, you can do this also via Canvas. Okay, and with that, I would like to close the session today. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I don't see any question in the chat. Oh, there are a few questions in the F&A segment. Let me have a look at this. But hopefully you had a lot of fun. If you just take one thing away from this, have a look into index patterns and try to build drill down use cases. So this really helps to understand the data, and also to teach people to use Kibana, because they often want to click on things. So you can teach Kibana to do so. Okay, so let's have a look into the first question. So the first question is, has Beats now taken over as the default data ingestion module on the Elastic Stack over Logstash? Yes. So if you just would like to ingest data, the easiest way to do so is using Beats. You can put Logstash in the middle, but only if you have very specific use cases. So for example, if you would like to look up external data sources that you don't like to ingest in Elastic first, then you can use Logstash to do this in the pipeline. Another thing is, if you don't like to add, or if you would like to reduce the load on your Elasticsearch cluster, then you can, let's say, move the load into Logstash and reduce the need of increasing the cluster of Elasticsearch. But usually for the, let's say, 90% of the use cases, it would be enough to have Beats and Elasticsearch up and running. And as I have shown you, you don't need Beats at the moment. You can just set up the Elastic agent, and everything will be done via Kibana. And the next question is, will replacing the underlying index pattern of searches for visualization be available at some point? Let me give me a second to understand the question. Placing the underlying index pattern. Yes, it is available in. So I think you would like to see. 1 second, I will switch over to this. You would like to see that you can change the data source or the index pattern of already done visualization, so that you add another search, or that you use other data sources for this. Wrong one, test dashboard. So we just created this one. So we click on edit, then we can click on edit lens, And here you can just switch between the different data sources. So let's say I would not like to use the listings, I would like to use the reviews. Okay, there are the fields not available, that's why it's starting from 0. But imagine the fields are available here, then you can just do this.
Awesome. Thank you, Felix. Do you guys have any more questions you would like to ask? I also input a link to the survey in the chat room. It will give us a possibility to improve for the future if you let us know your opinion. And also we would like to hear from you what topics you want to hear about in future. So please take 30 minutes to fill it out. It's super quick. And yeah, do you have any more questions for Felix?
Okay, I hope you liked the session. And with that, I say goodbye. Have a nice evening.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the presentation, and thanks everyone for attending. We're going to upload this recording to our YouTube page, so you can revisit there afterwards. And yeah, hope to see you again at our meetups. Bye.
Bye.